Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever come across a coin so ordinary that it seems almost worthless, until you discover it's actually worth hundreds of times its face value? Well, today we're diving into the incredible world of the 1945 wheat penny, a coin that once jingled in pockets and piggy banks across America but now, because of rare errors and unique historical circumstances, can command a price as high as $787 or even more in niche collector markets, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents from the mid-20th century. And if you're holding on to one, you might just be sitting on a small fortune without realizing it, so before you toss out that change, jar or cash in that dusty roll of pennies, you'll want to hear every jaw-dropping detail about why this coin is worth so much, how to identify the telltale signs of an error penny, and what specific features make this humble cent a potential goldmine, beginning with the fact that the 1945 wheat penny was struck during a time when the world was still reeling from the aftermath of World War II. And while most pennies from that era were produced in massive quantities, with over 1 billion minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, the sheer volume masks the presence of extremely rare variants and mistakes that slipped through the cracks and now make these coins highly desirable among numismatists, especially those with a trained eye who understand what to look for, such as double die errors on the obverse where Lincoln's profile or the words, "In God We Trust," appear slightly shadowed or doubled due to a misalignment in the striking process, or off-center strikes where the image appears skewed due to a blank planchet not being perfectly seated during the strike, both of which can skyrocket the value from mere cents to hundreds of dollars, and sometimes even more, depending on the condition of the coin and how dramatic the error appears. And let's not forget about repunched mint marks, particularly on 1945 D and 1945 S issues where the D for Denver or S for San Francisco was hand-punched and occasionally done more than once, causing noticeable overlaps or ghosting effects under magnification, which collectors go absolutely wild for, driving prices up especially in uncirculated or mint state examples. And speaking of condition, even a standard 1945 penny with no obvious errors can still fetch a hefty premium if it grades high on the Sheldon scale. Coins in MS65, MS66, or higher can command hundreds on their own, as they are nearly flawless examples of wartime minting excellence, but the real money lies in those coins with dramatic visual appeal or anomaly, such as clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is literally missing in a crescent shape, often caused during the blanking process, or coins that were struck on the wrong metal planchets like silver or steel blanks carried over from earlier war years, or foreign coin blanks mistakenly fed into the presses, which are exceptionally rare and have sold at auction for thousands depending on the provenance and documentation. And while these kinds of errors are not common, they do exist. And they have been authenticated by reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC, whose certifications greatly boost buyer confidence and final sale prices, especially when combined with eye-catching toning, naturally occurring hues of blue, red, gold, or even purple that form on a coin's surface over time due to oxidation and storage conditions. And such vibrant and naturally toned coins are often featured in major numismatic auctions where passionate collectors battle it out with bids that exceed 4 figures. And if you think all 1945 pennies look the same, think again, because die varieties also make a huge difference. Each die used to strike coins wears down over time and sometimes cracks or erodes in a way that creates raised lines or distinctive shapes on the final product, leading to what collectors call die cracks, cuds, and die chips, which are all small minting abnormalities that can turn a regular penny into a treasure hunt prize, especially when paired with sharp details and minimal wear. And because 1945 was a year of massive production, some mints used overworked dies longer than usual, resulting in more of these unique anomalies being produced and released into circulation before the quality control systems of the time could catch them. And that's why today many of these valuable coins are still hiding in drawers, boxes, and even bank rolls, just waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And with the growing popularity of coin collecting on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, stories of lucky individuals stumbling across one of these valuable coins have gone viral, sparking a resurgence in interest and driving up values even further, with some collectors willing to pay a premium just for the chance to complete their wheat penny set with a rare 1945 variant or error coin. And it's not just American collectors either. Global demand for U.S. coinage has increased dramatically, particularly in countries where historical U.S. artifacts hold cultural and investment appeal, meaning the competition to own a pristine or rare-era 1945 wheat penny is only intensifying, and if you're wondering how to sell one, it's always best to start with authentication and grading, since a certified error or high-grade coin can be listed at a premium on auction sites like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or eBay, where buyers often flock in anticipation of a good find, and while some 1945 pennies may sell for a modest amount, the right combination of rarity, error, condition, and appeal can elevate the value to hundreds or even thousands. And let's not forget the sentimental and historical value of a 1945 penny, a coin that was likely in the hands of GIs returning from war or American families rebuilding after years of sacrifice. And holding such a coin today not only connects you to a pivotal moment in history but potentially gives you a piece of it that could financially reward you as well. So, before you dismiss that old penny as pocket change, take a closer look, because what might seem like a common coin could be your unexpected jackpot. And now that you know all the possibilities, the mistakes, and the value that could be hiding in plain sight, it's time to dive into your own collection, flip through your change jar, check those inherited coin folders, and maybe even make a trip to a local coin show or dealer with a newfound appreciation for this iconic piece of American currency. That proves even the smallest denomination can carry a story, and a price tag, far beyond what you'd ever expect. So if you found this deep dive fascinating and you want more incredible stories about coins worth big money, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next surprise value hidden in your pocket change. Next, 1944 wheat penny USA coin. Imagine finding a simple 1-cent coin in your pocket change that turns out to be worth not just a few bucks but a staggering $767, a discovery so unbelievable it has collectors and casual hobbyists alike scrambling to check their old jars, piggy banks, and inherited collections for the elusive 1944 wheat penny. A coin that on the surface appears utterly ordinary but carries within its tiny copper body a story of history, wartime scarcity, and the kind of minting mistakes that turn pocket change into powerful treasures. And today we're diving into the astonishing details of how the 1944 wheat penny, minted during one of the most pivotal years of the 20th century, has become one of the most sought-after coins in numismatic circles. A piece of American history that was never intended to be rare but became incredibly valuable due to a perfect storm of production errors, transitional metal shifts, die variety anomalies, and collector enthusiasm that has grown exponentially over the years, with stories surfacing of lucky individuals finding these coins in unassuming places and selling them for hundreds of dollars or more. And what makes this particular year so special starts with the context of its creation, because in 1944 the United States Mint had just transitioned away from the 1943 steel penny, created during World War II when copper was diverted for wartime use, and resumed striking coins in copper-based alloy made mostly from recycled shell casings. Yet in that chaotic switch back, some steel planchets from the previous year accidentally made it into the presses, resulting in one of the rarest and most highly prized errors in U.S. coinage, the 1944 steel cent, of which only a few dozen are known to exist today and can fetch tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. But even aside from that unicorn-level rarity, the standard 1944 copper wheat pennies have their own world of collectible intrigue. Especially those with visible minting mistakes like off-center strikes, double die obverse, clipped planchets, and repunched mint marks, each of which turns a coin worth a penny into a collectible worth hundreds. And while over 1.4 billion 1944 pennies were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, it's the subtle differences and anomalies that define value. For example, a 1944 D penny with a clear repunched D mint mark can reach auction prices north of $500, and if found in mint state with luster and no signs of circulation, its value climbs even higher. And among collectors, demand is strongest for coins that combine rarity with aesthetic appeal, such as vibrant toning or full strike details, features that are graded and authenticated by professional services like PCGS and NGC, who provide the official numerical ratings that separate common finds from elite specimens. And then there are the famous double die coins, where design elements like Liberty, in God, We trust, or the date, 1944, appear to have shadowed or doubled impressions due to a misalignment between the working dies and the coin planchets during striking, and while these errors were not always caught by mint inspectors, they are quickly spotted by eagle-eyed collectors and instantly increase a coin's value many times over. And another key factor that drives value is the presence of die cracks and cuds, which occur as the minting dies deteriorate and leave raised lines or missing chunks on the surface of the coin, unique traits that make each error coin one of a kind and thus extremely collectible, and collectors are always chasing these kinds of anomalies to build the most complete and impressive sets, with some even specializing in 1 year alone, like the 1944 set, trying to acquire one example from each mint: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, along with each error type known from that year, and the competition can be fierce, especially when high-grade or dramatically flawed examples hit the market, with bidding wars breaking out at coin shows, online auctions, and collector forums where seasoned numismatists and enthusiastic newcomers alike vie for these valuable relics of the past. And it's not just about errors and grades either, because provenance and originality play a huge role in the collector world, meaning that a 1944 penny that comes from an old roll or a long-forgotten family collection carries more weight in value than one that's been cleaned or tampered with. And the best finds often come from overlooked places like estate sales, flea markets, or old safe boxes where vintage coinage has sat untouched for decades, waiting for the right person to recognize their hidden potential. And with the rising popularity of coin collecting fueled by viral YouTube videos, TikToks, and Reddit threads showing dramatic finds and windfall stories, more and more people are becoming aware that a simple penny could be worth hundreds or more, and the 1944 wheat penny stands out among them not only because of its historical context tied to the end of World War II but also because of how frequently valuable variations show up in circulation compared to other rare coins, making it a realistic and exciting target for both seasoned collectors and beginners. And there's also the fascinating metallurgical history of this coin, as it was one of the first mass-minted coins struck using repurposed military materials, specifically shell casing brass, making each coin a small piece of war history. And although they were meant to be temporary placeholders, these coins became so iconic that they have now outlived the war they were minted to support, and the survival of error varieties and high-grade examples has created an entire niche market around them, complete with reference guides, error coin checklists, and dedicated auction houses that specialize in coins like the 1944 wheat penny. And when we talk about the face value of $7.67 for a penny, we're really talking about the convergence of rarity, demand, condition, and historical context all coming together in a small but powerful copper artifact. And as more people become aware of what to look for, whether it's a shadowed mint mark, a curved clip in the metal, a misalignment in the strike, or a surprising color change from improper alloy blending, the chances of finding one of these valuable coins increases, especially for those willing to learn, research, and dig through even the most boring pile of pocket change, because you never know when you'll stumble across a piece of history that could change your financial life in the most unexpected way. And this is the power of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the satisfaction of learning that what you once thought was worthless could actually be one of the most valuable things you own. And with all the mystery, history, and hidden value behind the 1944 wheat penny, there's never been a better time to become part of this passionate community of coin collectors who know that even the tiniest treasures can hold massive significance. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating and potentially lucrative world of the 1944 wheat penny and want to explore more incredible coin stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you're always the first to know about the next big penny worth big money hiding in plain sight. Next, 1958 D wheat penny USA coin. Everyday coins become extraordinary treasures, and today we're diving into the incredible story of a coin that many people overlook but could actually be worth hundreds of dollars. And we're talking about the legendary 1958 D wheat penny, a coin that has become a surprising hot topic among collectors due to the fascinating array of minting errors, die varieties, and unique conditions that have transformed what was once a common 1-cent coin into a rare collectible with values reaching as high as $756 or more depending on its features and condition. So if you're someone who loves coin collecting, inherited an old jar of pennies, or are just curious about how a coin from 1958 could be worth so much today, then stay tuned because you're about to discover the many ways this small copper piece can turn into serious money. Starting with the historical context of the 1958 wheat penny, which marks the final year of the iconic wheat reverse design. Before the Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced in 1959, making the 1958 penny the last Denver minted wheat cent ever produced, and that in itself adds a level of historical importance that fuels collector interest, but what really elevates its value are the mint errors and varieties that have surfaced over time, including double die obverse where the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1958, appear slightly or dramatically doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process, which are incredibly rare and valuable, with some examples of strong doubling commanding prices in the thousands, although even minor doubling on a 1958 can significantly enhance its value. Then there are repunched mint marks or RPMs where the D for Denver was struck more than once due to the manual mint mark punching process used during that time, causing visible doubling or shadowing around the mint mark that, when discovered in good condition, can push values well above the average. And die cracks and die chips are also common in 1958 pennies, particularly because the dies used to strike these coins were sometimes overused or poorly maintained due to the high volume of production, and these die cracks can create raised lines or even cuts on the coin's surface, which are highly collectible among enthusiasts who value these as unique characteristics that distinguish one coin from another. And then there are off-center strikes where the coin image is not perfectly centered on the planchet, sometimes missing 5 to 20% of the design and creating a crescent-shaped blank area, which when severe and well-preserved can multiply the coin's value many times over. And clipped planchets are another fascinating error to watch out for, where the coin appears to have a small bite taken out of it due to misfeeds during the blanking process, and this too makes a penny extremely desirable, especially when paired with other errors, and don't forget transitional errors. Although extremely rare in this date, where a coin might accidentally be struck on a foreign or wrong metal planchet, such as a silver dime or leftover steel blank, leading to coins with different weights and coloring that sharply diverge from standard copper cents and are considered incredibly valuable by specialists who verify their authenticity through metal analysis and weight measurements. And speaking of authenticity, having a 1958 penny professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC can dramatically increase its market value, as collectors place a premium on certified coins, especially those in mint state grades like MS65, MS66, or MS67, which indicate a nearly flawless coin with full luster and no signs of circulation, and some high-grade 1958 pennies even without obvious errors can sell for hundreds simply due to their pristine condition and strong eye appeal, particularly those with original red toning preserved from the minting process, while coins with vibrant rainbow toning, caused by oxidation over time, can draw fierce bidding at auction due to their stunning and unusual coloration. And let's not forget that the wheat penny series itself is one of the most collected coin types in the world, with many collectors aiming to complete a full set from 1909 to 1958, and the 1958 is the final piece in that series, making it especially important for completing a collection, and the scarcity of certain errors combined with the year's status as the last wheat penny from Denver creates a perfect storm of demand that lifts even minor variance in value, and it's this combination of historical importance, minting anomalies, and collector demand that explains how a penny with a face value of 1 cent can rise to $756 or more, and values continue to climb as more people become aware of what to look for, which is why coin education and research are so important, because knowing the difference between a common penny and a rare error coin could mean the difference between pocket change and a payday, and every day more stories emerge of people who unknowingly owned valuable error pennies for years before learning what they had, such as finding a double die variety in an old coin folder or discovering a dramatic off-center strike in a forgotten change jar, and these stories have gone viral on social media, sparking a renewed interest in coin collecting and prompting people of all ages to begin sorting through their collections, asking questions, and joining the ever-growing community of numismatists who appreciate the art, history, and financial potential of coins like the 1958 wheat penny. And if you're lucky enough to find one with the right combination of rarity, error, and condition, you could be holding a piece of history that's not only beautiful but also surprisingly valuable, so take the time to inspect your coins carefully. Look for signs of doubling, check the mint mark closely for repunching, examine the edges and fields for cracks or die breaks, and don't forget to weigh unusual coins or have them authenticated if something about them seems off, because even the smallest detail could be the key to unlocking a significant valuation. And as always, demand plays a crucial role, and since more collectors are now actively seeking out 1958D errors to complete their collections or invest in coins with strong upside potential, prices for top examples continue to trend upward, especially in a market where tangible collectibles are increasingly valued not just for their intrinsic worth but for their historical and artistic significance, and that's what makes the 1958D wheat penny such an amazing coin, steeped in American history, produced at a pivotal time of change in U.S. coinage, and rich with potential for dramatic errors and valuable anomalies that can turn an ordinary penny into a prized possession. So check your change, sort through your old coin rolls, dig through that inherited penny jar, and see if you just might have one of these fascinating pieces of numismatic history. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable error coins and want to learn more about the hidden treasures in everyday pocket change, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next exciting discovery that could be hiding right under your nose. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin. Every coin tells a story, and where hidden treasures may be lying quietly in your pocket change, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins you could come across from mid-20th century America, the 1946 wheat penny, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent but which, due to an incredible combination of minting errors, historical importance, and collectible demand, can be worth up to $716 or more in the right conditions. And if you're a coin enthusiast, casual collector, or someone who just wants to know if that old penny in the drawer is worth more than a cup of coffee, then stay with us as we explore the many features that make the 1946 wheat penny an unexpected source of big money, beginning with the fact that it was minted in the immediate aftermath of World War II, a time of great transition for the U.S. Mint, which was adjusting from wartime production practices and beginning to resume normal coinage, using copper alloys instead of the steel composition briefly adopted during the war years. And this transition period led to a number of inconsistencies, mistakes, and overlooked quality control issues, resulting in error coins that are now highly sought after by collectors around the world. And the 1946 wheat penny was produced at 3 locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver marked by a D, and San Francisco marked with an S. And though hundreds of millions of these coins were minted across all 3 locations, it's the error varieties and rare anomalies that make specific examples incredibly valuable. And one of the most important errors to be aware of is the doubled die obverse, where the inscription, "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," and the date, 1946, may appear slightly or dramatically doubled, an effect that occurred during the die creation process when the hub used to make the dies impress the design more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled appearance that's visible under magnification or sometimes even to the naked eye. And collectors will pay hundreds for clear examples of this kind of doubling, especially if the coin remains in a high grade with minimal wear. And then there are repunched mint marks or RPMs, especially prevalent on the 1946D and 1946S issues, where the mint mark was punched more than once into the die in slightly different positions, resulting in visible ghosting, shadowing, or overlapping of the letter, which is easily noticeable under a loop. And such repunched mint marks, when sharply defined and well preserved, can cause the value of the penny to rise significantly, sometimes to several $100s if the coin also boasts strong eye appeal and is uncirculated. And speaking of condition, coins that are graded as mint state, MS, 60 and above, particularly those with red, RD, or red-brown, RB, coloration, are more valuable than circulated brown coins, and high-quality examples certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC can command prices well above $700 when paired with rare varieties. And another error type that adds significant value to the 1946 wheat penny is the off-center strike, where the coin was not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side, often leaving a portion of the planchet blank. And off-center strikes ranging from 5% to 90% can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream, with higher premiums attached to coins that maintain full-date visibility and strong visual contrast. And then there are clipped planchets, another form of striking error, where the coin appears to have a curved section missing due to a miscut during the blanking process before minting. And while these may initially seem like damaged coins, true clipped planchet errors have smooth, original edges and are instantly attractive to error coin specialists who prize their uniqueness. And dramatic errors such as broad strikes, where the collar die fails to contain the metal during the strike and allows it to expand beyond its normal diameter, are also possible with 1946 wheat pennies and add both visual and numismatic appeal. And while rare, there have been instances of transitional planchet errors where a 1946 cent was struck on a leftover planchet from another denomination or even on a foreign coin planchet due to cross-contamination at the mint, and such coins are extremely rare and valuable, requiring professional metallurgical analysis for confirmation but fetching prices in the thousands when verified. And die cracks, die chips, and die breaks are more subtle yet collectible features that occur as a result of aging or overused dies, often leading to raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin's surface that weren't part of the original design. And these imperfections are particularly popular among variety collectors who seek to document and categorize each unique occurrence. And coins with retained die breaks, cuds, where a portion of the die face breaks away and leaves a blank, raised area on the coin, or dramatic die cracks are often featured in numismatic literature and online databases, increasing their recognition and value. And then there's the phenomenon of lamination errors, where impurities or improper bonding in the metal alloy cause portions of the coin's surface to peel or flake away, sometimes even during minting. And while these are generally considered minor errors, they can add notable value to an otherwise common coin, especially if the lamination affects the portrait or date and is visually distinct. And when multiple errors occur on a single coin, such as a double die combined with a clipped planchet or a repunched mintmark combined with a die crack, the value can skyrocket, especially if the coin is in a high grade and presents a clean strike with clear error visibility. And these coins are often submitted to auction houses or listed with error coin dealers, where advanced collectors compete for the opportunity to add such unusual pieces to their sets. And the story of the 1946 wheat penny doesn't end with mint errors alone, because its historical context adds another layer of significance, being the first full year after the end of World War II, and the coin serves as a tangible reminder of America's post-war recovery and transition back to peacetime production, and as such, it carries historical weight for collectors interested in wartime and post-war artifacts. And because it was the first year of resuming copper production in full after the wartime steel sense of 1943, some speculate that the materials used in 1946 may still have included shell casing brass, a practice confirmed for 1944 and 1945 coins, and though not officially documented for 1946. Some believe that a small number of planchets may have come from leftover wartime materials, adding another speculative layer of value for certain examples with unusual coloration or composition that warrants further testing. And with the growing popularity of coin collecting spurred by social media trends, YouTube channels, TikTok collectors, Instagram reels, and online auction sites, more and more individuals are discovering the fun and potentially profitable hobby of inspecting old coins for hidden value. And the 1946 wheat penny remains a prime candidate for this kind of discovery due to its relatively high mintage paired with the surprising number of known and unknown error varieties, making it a coin that still holds secrets waiting to be discovered in pocket change, inherited collections, or overlooked coin rolls. And the chance of finding a high-value 1946 wheat penny might seem small, but the stories of people stumbling across valuable varieties in the least expected places continue to circulate, with some finding them in old bank rolls, grandparents' coin albums, flea markets, or coin shows where undervalued error coins can still be picked up by those who know what to look for. And with all these factors in play, the minting errors, repunched mint marks, die varieties, transitional anomalies, historical significance, and ever-growing collector interest, it becomes clear why this seemingly simple copper penny can be worth $716 or more. And every day that passes makes these coins harder to find in the wild and more desirable on the market. So whether you're a long-time numismatist or just getting started, you'll want to Take a closer look at any 1946 wheat penny you come across, study the date, inspect the mint mark, analyze the strike, and compare it with known varieties in guides and online references, and most importantly, consider having it graded if you believe it has potential, because professional grading and encapsulation can dramatically increase its market value and ease of sale. And so we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep searching, because the next big discovery might be waiting for you in the bottom of a jar or tucked away in an old family collection. And if you enjoyed this deep and detailed exploration of the 1946 wheat penny and want to learn more about other rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next incredible story from the world of coin collecting. Next, 1956 wheat penny USA coin. Pocket change transforms into treasure, and the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprises, and today we're diving into the remarkable story of the 1956 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent piece minted during the final years of the iconic wheat reverse design that, thanks to a variety of fascinating mint errors and mistakes, has become a serious contender in the world of rare and valuable coins, with some examples fetching up to $656 or more on the collector's market. And while the average person may glance over a penny like this without a second thought, true coin collectors know that even the tiniest details, an extra mark, a misplaced mint mark, an unexpected die crack, or a dramatic doubling, can elevate a coin's worth far beyond its face value. So let's take a deep dive into why the 1956 wheat penny is not just another coin but a treasure chest of minting anomalies, historical relevance, and lucrative opportunities that could be hiding in your very own change jar, starting with the fact that the 1956 wheat penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint during a time when coin production was beginning to shift more toward the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and the San Francisco facility, which had been a major minting center for much of the early to mid-20th century, was nearing the end of its Lincoln wheat cent production, which ceased in 1955 and then only resumed in small capacities for select coins. So the 1956 penny represents a continuation of the final run of San Francisco wheat pennies, adding a layer of historical closure that intrigues collectors who aim to complete full mint mark sets and who understand that end-of-era coins often hold elevated significance. But beyond that, it's the specific minting mistakes and error variations in this coin that make it incredibly valuable, such as the infamous repunched mint mark, or RPM, which occurs when the mint mark was struck more than once into the die by hand, slightly misaligned each time, resulting in a clear or sometimes subtle doubling of the that is highly collectible. And in the case of the 1956 there are numerous known RPM varieties, each catalogued and studied by numismatists for decades, and some of these RPMs are dramatic, with clear separation visible under magnification or even to the naked eye. And examples in uncirculated condition with strong eye appeal have been auctioned for hundreds of dollars, especially when certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. And then there are double die obverse (DDO) errors, where the text on the front of the coin, such as "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date 1956, appears slightly or dramatically doubled due to a misalignment in the hubbing process that creates the die. And although double die errors for the 1956 are less common than in earlier years like 1955, they do exist and are extremely desirable when verified, with their values increasing dramatically when combined with high-grade condition and red coloration. Speaking of which, color is a significant value factor in wheat pennies, and coins are often categorized as brown, BN, red-brown, RB, or red, RD, with full red coins being the most valuable due to their original mint luster being preserved through proper storage and minimal handling. And a 1956 with a rare error, full red color, and mint state grade can easily reach or exceed $656 at auction, and off-center strikes are another major value booster for this coin, where the coin's design is shifted away from the center of the planchet due to improper alignment during striking, and if the date is still visible and the strike is dramatic, such coins become immediate collector pieces due to their visual appeal and rarity. And the further off-center the strike, the higher the potential value, especially when the coin remains in uncirculated condition. And then there are clipped planchet errors, where part of the Coin's edge appears to be missing in a crescent or straight line shape due to a misfeed in the blanking press, and this minting mistake is often mistaken for post-mint damage, but genuine clipped planchets can be identified by curved clips with a Blakesley effect, where the opposite side of the clip shows weakness in the rim, proving it was struck after the clip occurred, and these kinds of clips on 1956's wheat pennies can add hundreds to the value depending on the severity and eye appeal. And let's not overlook die cracks and die breaks, which happen when a mint die develops fractures and transfers raised lines or blobs of metal to the coins being struck, and these are especially collectible when they occur in dramatic or unusual places on the coin, like across Lincoln's face or connecting letters in the legend, and if the crack leads to a full die break called a cud, where a piece of the die falls off and leaves a blob-like blank area near the rim, that 1956's penny becomes a one-of-a-kind piece with strong value among error specialists. And then there are lamination errors, which occur when impurities in the metal or improper mixing during planchet production cause layers of the coin to peel away or separate, often giving the coin a unique, flaky appearance that can be highly collectible when the error is significant and located near key design elements like Lincoln's profile or the date. And while not all lamination errors add huge value, severe or visually striking examples can absolutely push the 1956's penny into the high dollar range, especially when accompanied by other minor errors, and collectors also keep an eye out for die polishing lines, struck through grease errors, and over-polished dies that cause parts of the design to disappear entirely. And these subtle issues are often overlooked by casual collectors but are documented and studied in specialist guides and can bring significant premiums when properly attributed and understood. And when multiple errors appear on the same coin, such as a double die with an RPM and a die crack, the combined effect can create a truly unique specimen that becomes highly sought after in auctions and private sales, often exceeding catalog values due to bidding wars and collector enthusiasm. And beyond errors, rarity is also influenced by grade, and many of the surviving 1956's wheat pennies have seen decades of circulation, making uncirculated examples with full red luster increasingly rare and therefore more valuable, and high-grade MS66 or MS67 red examples are especially prized, often appearing in registry sets and premium collections. And with so many people now turning to coin collecting as a hobby, investment, or even a side hustle thanks to viral content online, the demand for quality 1956's era pennies is growing, which in turn pushes up values and creates greater urgency to identify, grade, and sell these coins while interest remains high. And this is why we always recommend having potentially valuable 1956's pennies authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, which not only protect the coin but give buyers confidence in the coin's authenticity and condition, enabling higher selling prices and better auction performance. And with the increasing visibility of rare coin finds on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and eBay, people are waking up to the idea that a penny minted over 60 years ago could be worth hundreds today, and they're digging through their change jars, sorting through old coin folders, and examining inherited collections with a fresh perspective. And among all the wheat pennies from the 1950s, the 1956's stands out not only because of its potential for valuable errors and high grades but also because of its position near the end of the wheat penny era, giving it added desirability for collectors trying to complete or enhance their sets. And when you combine historical context, minting anomalies, rising collector interest, and market trends that continue to favor tangible historical assets, it becomes crystal clear why the 1956's wheat penny has become one of the most exciting sleeper coins of its generation, with plenty of upside for those who are willing to search, learn, and pay attention to the details, because it's in those tiny, overlooked details, the slight doubling on a mint mark, a faint die crack, a clipped edge, a subtle toning variation, that enormous value can be hiding, waiting to reward the sharp-eyed enthusiast who takes the time to look closer. And so we encourage you to check your change, explore old rolls, revisit your childhood collections, and start paying closer attention to every 1956's penny you find, because you might just be holding a coin worth $656 or more. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries and value of the 1956's wheat penny and want more incredible stories about rare coins that are worth big money, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single hidden gem that might be lying right under your nose. Next, 1955 Wheat Penny USA coin, history and hidden treasures collide, and today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1955 Wheat Penny, a small yet astonishingly valuable piece of American coinage that, thanks to its unique errors and historical quirks, can be worth up to $698 or more depending on condition, rarity, and demand. This iconic coin, minted in the final decade of the Wheat Penny era, has captured the imaginations of collectors for generations due to a legendary mistake made at the Philadelphia Mint, an error so bold and visually striking that it has turned what would have been a common cent into one of the most famous and sought-after error coins in U.S. history. Known widely as the 1955 double-die penny, this cent features a dramatic doubling on the obverse side, especially noticeable on the date and inscriptions like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," a result of the die receiving a misaligned impression during the hubbing process. Instead of discarding the flawed die, it was mistakenly put into production, leading to thousands of these error coins being released into circulation before the issue was detected. For those lucky enough to find one, this error transformed a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream, often fetching hundreds and sometimes even thousands of dollars depending on its condition. But while the famous double die gets most of the spotlight, there are other varieties and errors from 1955 that also add significant value. Minor double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, BAE errors, and die chips have all been documented in this year's mintage, and each has its own niche appeal in the eyes of serious collectors. For instance, a 1955 wheat penny with an off-center strike of more than 50% that still shows the full date can be quite valuable, especially if the coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition. Similarly, coins with dramatic die cracks that resemble lightning bolts or other interesting patterns can draw collector interest far above face value. Let's not forget the BIE error, a small vertical die break between the B and E of Liberty, forming what appears to be the word BIE, a quirky flaw that has become beloved by error coin enthusiasts. Even more, 1955 wheat pennies with lamination errors, where parts of the metal peel off due to impurities, can increase a coin's uniqueness and value. Then there are the more subtle yet still valuable repunched mint marks, RPMs, especially on coins minted at the Denver Mint, where a D mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions, leading to a noticeable doubling or shadow effect under magnification. These RPMs are highly collectible and often overlooked by casual collectors, making them hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Now, while most people dream of finding the classic 1955 double-die penny in their change jar, even a lesser-known but high-grade 1955 wheat penny with a lesser error or just exceptional luster and sharp detail can still be worth hundreds of dollars. Collectors place high value on coins graded MS/65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, especially those with red or red-brown color designations which indicate the coin has retained much of its original mint luster. Red-designated wheat pennies are much rarer than their brown counterparts and can often fetch significantly higher prices at auction or private sale. There's also the importance of eye appeal. A coin that simply looks clean, attractive, and sharp, free of major contact marks or discoloration, will always outperform others even if the technical grade is the same. Interestingly, the 1955 wheat penny's notoriety also means it is among the most counterfeited error coins in the hobby, so authentication is critical. Some fakes attempt to mimic the double die by physically altering the coin or using split dies to simulate the doubling effect, but true experts can always spot the difference. The genuine 1955 double die has very specific diagnostics, such as a strong clockwise doubling on all obverse inscriptions, and it's essential to consult reputable resources or professionals before making a big purchase. For newer collectors wondering where to start, it's smart to examine every 1955 penny you come across with a 10x loop or better magnification, checking closely for signs of doubling, die breaks, or mint mark oddities. These small signs can lead you to a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The beauty of the hobby is that these treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered in old jars, coin rolls from the bank, estate sales, or flea markets, and one 1955 penny could change your entire collection forever. Even more, beyond its errors, the 1955 wheat penny is a historically significant coin, representing the post-war optimism of the 1950s and the waning years of the Lincoln wheat design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Designed by Victor D. Brenner and featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the wheat reverse with its two stylized stalks has become symbolic of early to mid-20th century American coinage. The 1955 issue had a total mintage of over 330 million coins from the Philadelphia Mint, which makes the sheer rarity of the double-die version all the more stunning. Less than 25,000 are believed to have been released into circulation, and far fewer survive today in collectible condition. Even common 1955 wheat pennies in higher mint states are worth well over face value, especially in today's market where interest in vintage U.S. coins continues to climb thanks to growing online marketplaces and social media communities of collectors. Auction records show that exceptional examples of the 1955 double die have sold for over $10,000 when graded MS-65 or higher, while even circulated versions with visible doubling regularly bring in several hundred to several $1,000s. This has helped create an aura of excitement and treasure hunting allure around this particular coin, and it's often cited as the gateway coin that turned casual finders into lifelong numismatists. That's the power of an error coin with historical significance, visual impact, and genuine scarcity. It ignites a passion for discovery and an appreciation for the artistry and fallibility of the minting process. And it's not just the big-name errors that matter. Every small detail, from a weak strike to a tiny die chip, tells a story and can contribute to a coin's uniqueness and potential value. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just stumbled upon an old coin collection from a relative, taking the time to closely inspect your 1955 wheat pennies could pay off in a big way. Remember, these coins are over 65 years old, and their value continues to grow as fewer high-quality examples remain in circulation. And as always, be sure to store valuable coins properly in acid-free holders or slabs to preserve their condition, and consider having them professionally graded if you suspect you have something special. Whether you find a classic double die, a quirky BAE error, or just an unusually pristine piece, the 1955 wheat penny is one of those legendary coins that bridges the worlds of history, craftsmanship, and accidental brilliance. Don't overlook it, because your ordinary-looking penny could be hiding an extraordinary story worth hundreds of dollars. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to learn more about hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss our next exploration into the rarest and most valuable coins still out there waiting to be found. Next, 1951 wheat penny USA coin, we uncover the most astonishing stories behind everyday coins that are actually worth a fortune, and today, we are diving deep into the extraordinary tale of the 1951 wheat penny. A small copper piece with a face value of 1 cent that has stunned collectors and experts alike by reaching an impressive price tag of $686 due to its rare errors and fascinating mistakes that make it a true hidden treasure in the world of numismatics. So if you have a jar full of old coins or perhaps a box tucked away with forgotten change, you might want to check if you have one of these gems, because what we're about to share could literally turn your penny into hundreds of dollars. And this isn't just about face value or age, it's about the very peculiar imperfections, rare minting anomalies, and historical quirks that have elevated the 1951 wheat penny into a realm of unbelievable worth as collectors search tirelessly for specimens that contain these elusive features. And it all begins with understanding the significance of the wheat penny itself, which was minted from 1909 to 1958 and is named for the two stalks of wheat on the reverse side that represent prosperity and agriculture, an enduring symbol of American resilience and growth. But what makes the 1951 coin minted in San Francisco so special isn't just its design or age. It's the fact that out of the millions produced, only a small fraction exhibit specific errors that dramatically enhance their value, and one of the most sought-after mistakes is the repunched mint mark, a situation where the mint mark was struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like or doubled appearance that is highly noticeable under magnification and extremely desirable in the collecting community because it reflects a very specific and unintentional process error during the minting stage. And this particular variety, known as RPM or repunched mint mark, often varies in clarity, depth, and angle of doubling, which means each example can be slightly different, adding to its uniqueness and collectability, and the better the visibility of this RPM feature, the higher the potential value, with some sharply defined specimens commanding prices far beyond the $686 mark depending on grade and preservation. And speaking of grade, the condition of the coin is everything in numismatics, so a 1951 wheat penny with full original luster, no signs of wear, and minimal surface blemishes could significantly exceed average auction results, especially if it has additional rare features, and that brings us to die cracks, another type of mint error where small fissures in the die transfer raised lines or bumps onto the coin's surface during the striking process, and while common in some dates, when they appear on a 1951 especially if they cross major design elements like Lincoln's profile or the wheat stalks, they become instantly collectible and set the coin apart from millions of others. And then we have the infamous BAE error, a fascinating and somewhat charming anomaly caused by a die break that appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, creating the illusion of an additional I, hence the name BIE, and these errors are a favorite among Lincoln cent enthusiasts due to their quirky appearance and the variety of forms they can take, making every BE error coin a little different and thus appealing for those who love collecting sets based on subtle differences. And when this error is found on a 1951 it adds yet another layer of rarity and intrigue, especially if combined with other errors such as RPMs or die cracks. And then there are off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank isn't properly aligned within the press, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or shifted dramatically. And though many dates have examples of this error, finding one in a 1951 wheat penny is much rarer and can significantly increase the coin's market value, particularly if the off-center strike is dramatic and leaves major portions of the design intact yet displaced, giving the coin a bold and unmistakable visual impact that collectors love. And another subtle but critical error that can affect the value of the 1951 is a die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing parts of the opposing design to transfer onto each die and subsequently appear faintly on future coins. And these ghost-like images of reverse design elements are captivating to advanced collectors because they offer insight into the minting process and production mishaps that are otherwise invisible. And finding a 1951 with a clear die clash involving features like Lincoln's profile appearing on the wheat side or vice versa can push the value of the coin well beyond the $686 threshold, and even minor doubling on features such as the date, lettering, or Lincoln's eye can constitute a DDO or DDR error, double die obverse or reverse, which are perhaps among the most famous and valuable types of errors in the numismatic world, as famously seen in the 1955 double die cent. And though rare in the 1951 series, any noticeable doubling can dramatically influence both the desirability and price of the coin, especially if certified by a top grading agency such as PCGS or NGC. And authenticity plays a huge role in determining final value, with certified error coins often commanding premiums because buyers trust the accuracy of the grading and identification of the error type. And the combination of one or more of these features, be it an RPM, BIE, die crack, off-center strike, or doubling, creates layers of value that stack up quickly. And the reason these errors are so meaningful is that they're not part of every 1951 penny. They represent the outliers, the mistakes that slipped through quality control and became frozen in time, telling a story not just of the coin's physical makeup but also of the moment in history when it was made, a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning technology and facing post-war production challenges, which makes these coins small but powerful relics of a bygone era. And when collectors find coins that represent both an era and a mistake, they cherish them not just as currency but as artifacts, each with its own journey, its own imperfections, and its own story. And while most 1951 pennies might fetch a few cents in circulation condition, the rare ones, the ones with perfect strikes, unique errors, and pristine luster, become showpieces in high-end collections, auction house darlings, and centerpiece topics in numismatic discussions worldwide. And let's not forget that even storage matters, because a coin stored properly over the decades in a dry, temperature-controlled environment with minimal handling retains its surface quality and eye appeal, which matters enormously to graders and buyers, and this is why so many people are now going back to their coin jars, inheritance boxes, or childhood collections, realizing that among the seemingly mundane handful of old change could lie a financial windfall, and this isn't just speculative hype. Auction records, private sales, and growing demand among collectors consistently show that coins with these types of errors continue to rise in value, especially as more people enter the hobby and supply of quality examples diminishes, and when you add in the emotional and historical value of finding a piece of the past that carries such a unique defect, it makes the 1951 wheat penny more than just an old coin. It becomes a bridge between everyday people and the complex, fascinating world of minting, metalwork, and monetary history. And so the next time you find yourself holding a wheat penny dated 1951 with an S beneath the date, take a closer look, examine the mint mark, scrutinize the surfaces, inspect the lettering, and look for any irregularities, because that tiny detail, that small shadow, or that unusual break in the design could mean you're holding a $686 treasure in your hand, a piece of history with value far beyond its size, and who knows, your discovery might just be the next headline in the coin collecting world. And if you found this story fascinating or helpful in your own collecting journey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin discoveries, and share this with friends who might have a hidden treasure in their pocket change too. Last 1945 wheat penny USA coin, we dive into the hidden world of rare coins, numismatic treasures, and the unbelievable value some of the most ordinary-looking pennies can reach, and today's spotlight is on a fascinating coin that might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change or coin jar, the 1945 wheat penny. A coin that originally held just 1 cent in face value but has now shocked collectors and enthusiasts alike by fetching up to $700 thanks to a range of unique errors, rare minting mistakes, and production quirks that make it one of the most compelling pieces of post-war American coinage. And while millions of 1945 wheat pennies were struck across the United States mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, only a small and incredibly specific subset of these coins contains the kinds of features that transform a humble copper coin into a valuable collector's item worth hundreds of dollars, and it all begins with the story behind the 1945 wheat penny itself. Minted in a time when World War II had just come to an end, the United States Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the demand for circulating coinage, and the world was shifting from wartime production back to civilian life, which meant that while minting resumed its normal pace, equipment strain, die wear, and production inconsistencies led to an increased likelihood of minting mistakes that escaped quality control and entered circulation, and these mistakes, often subtle, sometimes dramatic, are now the key reasons why some 1945 wheat pennies are worth big money. And one of the most well-known and prized types of errors found on this coin is the double die error, especially on the obverse where the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" appears to be slightly or even heavily doubled, giving a shadow-like effect that is highly visible under magnification and sometimes even to the naked eye, and when this type of doubling is clear and dramatic, especially if it affects multiple parts of the coin's design, the coin's value skyrockets as collectors compete to secure one of the few known examples of this anomaly. And it's not just the doubling that increases the value, but also the presence of die cracks, cuts, die breaks, and lamination errors, which all result from issues during the minting process. For example, die cracks appear when the die used to strike the coin develops tiny fractures that are then imprinted onto the coin's surface in the form of raised lines or ridges, sometimes appearing across Lincoln's face or head, or across the wheat stalks on the reverse. And the more pronounced and unusual the pattern of these die cracks, the more desirable the coin becomes. And cuds, which occur when a piece of the die actually breaks off, leaving a raised blob or missing section on the coin's rim, are particularly dramatic and rare on 1945 pennies. And such visible minting flaws serve as compelling evidence of the coin's uniqueness, often turning otherwise worn or circulated coins into high-value collector's items. And then we have repunched mint marks, or RPMs, particularly for the 1945 D and 1945 S issues, where the mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different locations, creating a noticeable overlapping or shadow effect. which is a minting error caused during the manual process of adding mint marks to the dies before they were automated, and these RPMs vary in form, with some being subtle and others clearly doubled, tripled, or even quadrupled, and collectors are especially fond of these because each RPM is a little different, adding a uniqueness factor that boosts both interest and value, and when these RPMs are paired with coins in excellent condition, such as those graded MS65 or higher, the prices can easily exceed $700 depending on the visibility and intensity of the mint mark anomaly, and then there are off-center strikes, where the coin blank was not properly centered during the striking process, leading to a portion of the design being missing or significantly misaligned, and while minor off-center strikes are relatively common, those that are more than 10% off-center and still show a complete date and mint mark are particularly desirable, and when found on a 1945 wheat penny, they are worth considerably more. And in extreme cases where the strike is 50% off-center but still legible, collectors will pay a high premium for such a dramatic and rare mistake. And then there's the famous BE error, a type of die break that occurs between the letters B and E in Liberty, creating what looks like a capital wedged between them, hence the nickname, and although these errors are known in other years, they're prized on the 1945 wheat penny due to their uncommon nature and variation in appearance, as some BIE errors are thin like a crack, while others are thick and blocky, and advanced collectors often try to gather as many different forms of this error as possible, giving value to even minor examples, and the presence of lamination errors, caused by impurities or weak bonding in the metal blank, can lead to peeling, flaking, or missing sections of the coin's surface, and these errors are eye-catching and clearly distinguish a coin from the standard issues, and when they occur on the 1945 wheat penny, particularly across Lincoln's face or key design areas, they not only demonstrate a compelling minting failure but also dramatically raise the collectible value of the coin, especially when preserved in its original state and not cleaned or altered, which brings us to the topic of condition and how critical it is in determining the final value of a 1945 wheat penny, because two coins with the same error may sell for drastically different amounts depending on their grade, luster, and surface quality, and coins that retain their original red or red-brown copper coloration, exhibit full details in Lincoln's hair and coat, and show minimal wear are significantly more valuable than those that are worn, scratched, or damaged, and grading services like PCGS and NGC offer authentication and professional assessment, which adds further credibility and marketability to the coin, and many collectors refuse to buy high-value coins unless they are certified and encapsulated, and the market for such coins is steadily growing, driven by increasing interest in historical artifacts, tangible assets, and the thrill of treasure hunting. And for that reason, the 1945 wheat penny has become a popular target among coin roll hunters, estate sale buyers, and casual collectors who understand that not all wheat pennies are created equal, and while the vast majority of 1945 pennies may only be worth a few cents, those rare error-laden examples are true numismatic jackpots, and the rarity of each error, whether it be a strong doubled die, dramatic off-center strike, bold RPM, large cud, complex die crack, or combination thereof, adds an exponential factor to the value, meaning that one coin could possess multiple overlapping errors, thus making it not just rare but one of a kind, and with provenance, historical context, and error verification, such coins can even break expected value ceilings and go beyond $700, especially at major auctions or in private sales where demand outpaces supply. And the growing popularity of YouTube coin channels, online forums, and social media coin groups has made it easier than ever for collectors to share discoveries, learn to spot rare features, and trade coins, all of which feeds into a healthy, thriving market where even a 1945 wheat penny from a coffee can could suddenly become the centerpiece of someone's collection, and as collectors become more informed and tools like microscopes and digital magnifiers become more accessible, the ability to identify mint errors has grown exponentially, leading to more discoveries and more revaluations of coins that had previously been overlooked, and many of the 1945 wheat pennies now selling for hundreds of dollars were once considered ordinary until a closer inspection revealed an error, and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. Anyone, regardless of experience, location, or age, can participate and possibly stumble upon a piece of hidden history that carries both financial and cultural value. And the best part is that coins like the 1945 wheat penny are still out there in circulation, in family coin jars, in inherited collections, and in forgotten drawers waiting to be rediscovered. So if you're holding on to one or come across one, make sure you take a close look, examine every letter, the date, the mint mark, the edges, the fields, and look for signs of doubling, misalignment, cracks, or anything unusual, because those little differences could mean the difference between a common cent and a $700 windfall. And whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious newcomer, there's something magical about turning a piece of everyday currency into a valuable artifact, and the 1945 wheat penny is proof that in the world of coins, the smallest details can have the biggest impact. So keep searching, stay curious, and always look twice, because that tiny copper coin could be your next big discovery. And if you enjoyed learning about the hidden value of the 1945 wheat penny, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more in-depth coin stories, and share it with friends or family who might just have a treasure hiding in plain sight.